I actually believe a great movie could be done on Doug Williams' life, his sports life. I think I've always said that. Think about this story. The first time I kind of heard about Doug, I'm at Tampa Bay coaching, and we had the first pick in that round of the draft was the 17th pick. And Coach McKay said to me, hey, look, there's this young quarterback in Grambling. Why don't you go over there and try and find out everything you can about him? His name is Doug Williams. And I did. I went over, I spent 3 days with Doug. We would go to McDonald's. I went with him as he did his student teaching class, put him on the board, talked football, and I came back, and here's what I told Coach McKay, and he gets the credit for drafting Doug, a black quarterback in the first round. I told him this. I said, this guy is football smart. I said, he also is a great person. And I think he's the right kind of guy, and I also think he's a leader, from what I could say. And to Coach McKay's credit, he took Doug in the first round, okay, the 17th pick. Now, one of the stories about that a lot of people don't know, Doug starts playing for us. In the second game, he gets a broken jaw. And what they did basically was wire his jaw shut, but then put a clip on it so that they could unwire it. Because as you know, if you're throwing up in a helmet or something, you could die. That guy went out there, Doug Williams, and he played games with a wired shut jaw. And I only say that to say this. One of the things I admire about Doug, he is a tough dude and also a great leader. In that process, when we did go over and draft Doug, he came over to our house a bunch of times, and Pat just fell in love with Doug. A real friendship they developed there. Doug would come over and eat with us and share time with the boys. And so for our family, Doug became a real friend and is a friend until this day. Then, of course, I leave. I bounce all over the place. I wind up coaching the Redskins. And at one point there, we had Jay Schrader, young quarterback, playing. And basically, when we had young quarterbacks, I love to have a backup that is a veteran guy behind him. And so we went to work with the guys there, Bobby Beathard and everything. The USFL was about to go under, and we were able to get Doug back with the Redskins. And the story from that point on is history. As we went through that season in '87, as Jay was our quarterback, but then struggled some, we put Doug in, and Doug winds up starting the last part of the year. And then we have the '87 Super Bowl. Who can forget that? And we're getting our rear ends kicked in the first quarter by Denver. And I always remember that very first play of the second quarter. I called Charlie 10 Hitch. You guys all remember Hitch, our favorite play. And I saw Denver jump up and press Ricky Sanders. And of course, a hitch, a 5-yard hitch, turns into a fade if they press us. And Doug, his eyes lit up. He goes back, a 72-yard bomb. And from that point on, I don't care what I called, 35 points. And as a part of that process, Doug goes down there for a minute, also in the first quarter, and refused to have Jay come in, stayed in there again, telling you how tough he was. It's one of the great stories, and to be MVP of that Super Bowl. The other thing he did there is break down all barriers, okay, for a quarterback of color to be in the Super Bowl and wind up being the MVP. Everything that he broke down there, all the barriers he broke down, and made it possible for all players to be able to play quarterback. And so that was a huge deal. The things I would say, just wrapping it up, Doug Williams is a leader. I think he's someone that the players really respect. I think he had great respect on the team, and players looked up to him. He's a first-class person. He's a great friend of me, Pat, and our family. He's a tough guy, as I talked about, and he was a gifted quarterback. When we first drafted him, he's the first quarterback at Tampa. I still remember, we're in the very first time we're in 7-on-7, and he's throwing the ball. I've never seen this before. The other players all turned around, and when Doug zinged a few of those things, they would turn to each other and go, "Did you see that?" A gifted guy. Thank you, Doug. Thanks for being in my life.